The hardest person to compare yourself to is not someone else. It is the person you could have become. The version of yourself that existed only as a possibility. Every person is born with potential, not a guarantee of success, but possibilities waiting to be developed. Talents, abilities, interests, and strengths that may never fully reveal themselves. As children, we begin with a blank page. We do not choose our family, our environment, or the circumstances that surround us. Yet these things influence us long before we understand what is happening. Some people grow up encouraged to explore who they are. Others grow up learning to survive. The difference can shape an entire life. Many talents disappear quietly, not because they were not real, but because they were never given the chance to grow. A seed cannot become a tree if it never receives light. Sometimes the obstacle is fear. Sometimes it is poverty. Sometimes it is criticism, neglect, or simply a lack of opportunity. The result is often the same. Years pass, responsibilities grow, life becomes busy. The dreams that once felt important slowly move further into the background. At some point, many people begin looking around. They see others succeeding, creating, building, and achieving things they once imagined for themselves. This is where a painful comparison begins. The comparison is rarely about money. It is rarely about fame. It is often something much deeper than that. What hurts is the feeling that someone else became what you never had the chance to become. They remind you of a possibility you lost along the way. This realization can create anger. Anger toward parents, teachers, society, circumstances, or anyone we believe influenced our path. Sometimes the anger feels justified. The mind starts creating alternative histories. If this had happened, if that had not happened, if someone had believed in me, if I had made a different choice. These thoughts can become endless. They create a parallel life that exists only in imagination, a life where everything turned out differently. The problem is that this imagined version of ourselves is usually perfect. We compare our real lives to an idealized fantasy that never faced real obstacles. Over time, disappointment can turn into resentment. Resentment can turn into bitterness. Bitterness can quietly become part of our identity. Some people spend years carrying this invisible weight. They wake up every day feeling that life cheated them somehow. They feel trapped between who they are and who they wanted to become. The sadness becomes even heavier because the loss is difficult to explain. You cannot point to a specific event. You are grieving a possibility. You are grieving a future that never happened. A version of yourself that existed only in potential. A life that remained unwritten. This kind of grief often goes unnoticed. Other people see your life as it is. They do not see the invisible life you compare it against. The danger is becoming trapped in that comparison forever. The more attention you give to the life that never happened, the less attention you give to the life that still exists. Eventually, the comparison stops being motivating. It becomes paralyzing. It convinces you that your best opportunities are already gone. But there is something important that many people overlook. The person you could have been never actually existed. They were always a possibility, not a reality. That possibility was built from assumptions. It never faced failure. rejection, uncertainty, illness, mistakes, or bad luck. It remained perfect because it remained imaginary. Meanwhile, the person you are today survived real life. They faced challenges. They adapted. They carried burdens that the imaginary version never had to carry. This does not erase regret. It does not erase missed opportunities. Some losses are real, and pretending otherwise helps no one. But there is a difference between acknowledging regret and living inside it. One creates wisdom. The other creates suffering. At some point, every person faces a choice. Continue mourning the life that never happened, or invest energy into the life that still can. The future remains unwritten. Not completely, but enough. There are still decisions to make, skills to develop, experiences to pursue, and parts of yourself waiting to be discovered. Perhaps you will never become the person you imagined at 20. Perhaps nobody does. Life rarely follows the script we write for it. But that does not mean your story is over. It does not mean your potential disappeared. It only means that your path became different from the one you expected. The person you could have been belongs to the past. The person you can still become belongs to the future. And that future is still waiting to be written.